Will the winners in AI be those with the picks and shovels? I'm Tonya Hall for ZDNet and Tech Republic, and joining me is Simon Greenman. He is the founding partner of Best Practice AI. Welcome, Simon.
Welcome. Pleasure to be here, Tonya.
What does Best Practice AI do?
So Best Practice AI is an advisory working with executives to help them accelerate their AI solutions. And we work with corporates, startups, and companies all over the world who are looking to really help and put in place AI solutions.
You also call yourself the MapQuest guy. What's the story there?
Oh, yeah, many years ago. And I was lucky enough to be in the right place at the right time. And you'll never, ever guess where MapQuest was founded. In Lancaster, Pennsylvania, which you know for the home of the Amish and not much else. We actually started MapQuest and launched it back in 1996. But we ran out of bandwidth in Lancaster County, and we had to move pretty damn quickly to Colorado to make sure we could get enough bandwidth to keep the internet site actually going.
Tell us about the Best Practice AI library and how can people use it?
Yeah, one of the big questions that we actually found when we talked to people is people are actually really confused as to what AI is. They're hearing these stories about robots, that cars are going to be all autonomous in the coming years. They're talking about how all the jobs are going to go. And what we realized is that there was really a need to ground people in what AI is and how practically it's actually being used today, not the stuff of dystopian, utopian futures down the road, but actually what's going on today. So what we did is we actually got a team of us to crawl through probably about 10,000 plus articles, talk to hundreds of people to see how AI is actually being used in both the public and private sector today. So we ended up with about 600 use cases and about 850 case studies on where AI is being used. And it was answering questions like, if I'm a chief marketing officer, or I'm a CEO, or I'm a chief financial officer, what can I do with AI? And so if you're a chief marketing officer, you go to our library and you can quickly identify the top, say, 30 use cases for marketing. And then the next question is, okay, how can you use AI to help on customer acquisition or help on my branding? But what's the size of the prize? If I implement this new customer acquisition strategy, is it going to improve my performance by 5%, 10%? So we really wanted to sort of ground executives and in what can be done with AI today and how big that size of the prize is.
You spoke at the O'Reilly AI conference in London last October about understanding the value chain and who will make money in artificial intelligence. So who's got the best AI optimized chips and chipsets?
Oh, yeah, it's a really good question because there's something of an arms race actually going on at the chip level and hardware level of AI, because it's kind of like the Californian gold rush or any gold rush many years ago. You know, everybody runs in to try and make money, and everyone's trying to rush in and make money from AI. But actually, back in the gold rush days, it was the picks and shovels guys that made all the money. So a lot of people didn't struck pay dirt, but the people who made it were the Levi jeans, those making the picks and shovels. And it's kind of like the chip guys, the hardware guys, are really the picks and shovels of this AI race. It doesn't matter if a company is going to be successful with AI or not successful. The people that provide the chips are going to make the money. So it's really going to be the big guys again. All the traditional names that we know from the chip space, Intel, NVIDIA, Qualcomm, and others, they're making sure that they're relevant to AI. But then you've got some interesting newcomers coming in. Google has their TPU chips. You'll see even the Chinese are looking at how they design chips because everyone wants to be the chips underlying this race. But at the end of the day, the thing with making chips is designing chips, manufacturing chips. It's really the big guys. It's those that scale who are going to be successful here. You know, this is $1 billion game. Billions of dollars go into it. So the winners are going to be the picks and shovels guys that are the really big companies out there who can put the money into it.
Whose AI and cognitive algorithms will actually dominate?
Yeah, and again, it's a really great question because there's so many startup companies that are doing things like, okay, speech algorithms, trying to do conversational agents, NLP algorithms. And it's almost like AI as a service is happening. We'll all plug into these AI as a service as we build it. But again, it's something of a case of the big guys are going to do really well here. So somebody like a Google, I mean, they attract the best engineers in the world with the best data sets, the biggest data sets in an incredible research environment. So what we see is the picks and shovels guys will be really the big companies again. And there's a real talent war going on here. You know, Google wants to get the best PhD researchers in AI. Facebook wants them. Microsoft wants them. IBM wants them. So the reality is, if you've got a PhD in research at this point, and you have many years years of implementation, the types of salaries that are being thrown out there are absolutely huge, 7-figure salaries at this point. And so a little startup is going to really struggle to get the best PhD researchers out there. So we think it's going to be the big guys, the tech giants, and mainly the American tech giants that will win this race for cognitive algorithms.
Your Medium article actually has an infographic that paints a broad picture of the AI value landscape.
Yeah.
So how do China and the US compare in capturing the value of AI?
Yeah, it's really interesting because there's almost like there's 3 sets of AI continents going on here. You've got America is trying to lead in AI. China has clearly declared at the governmental level, but by 2030, they want to be the leader in AI globally. And then you've got Europe kind of trying to figure out where they fit in it. But the arms race is really between the two of China and the US. And what we see today is, I mean, there's a bit of a catch-up going on in China, but the number of PhD researchers in AI is increasing, the number of patents are increasing. But what China's really saying is, look, we are a massive country of 1.4 billion population, 3 times, nearly 4 times the size of the US. And China's saying, we have data. And we've got 10 times as much mobile payment data as you. We've got more people on their messaging apps. Their data sets are absolutely huge here. And the underlying key for AI is you can have a great machine learning algorithm implemented and say on Google's open source TensorFlow. But unless you have really high quality data sets that are labeled and trained, then your algorithms are not going to be that good. So China's saying, look, we've got big data sets, we've got good engineers, we've got good researchers, we're going to have the best AI out there. And it's really interesting because there's also sort of differences in terms of sort of societal and regulatory. So in China, one of the things they're fantastic at is facial recognition. And so the company Face++ is worth in the billions at this point, and it's analyzed so many faces because the government basically has a facial recognition database for everybody out there. And so now when you walk into maybe a bank or you even walk into a hospital and sign up, you're actually, the hospital and the bank will link into the Chinese national facial recognition database. So, you know, what China's really going to be able to do in AI is incredible in the scale with which they operate. But you know, they might say something like, you know, for the best research is in the US for now, we'll catch up eventually. But what we're going to be the best at in China is implementation of AI in our society. Our public, our government and our corporates are going to be better than anybody else in implementing AI.
What technological breakthrough are we working on that will propel AI into the next milestone?
Oh, I mean, what we really like about what's going on in AI, I mean, Google, Microsoft, the Facebooks, just working on incredible stuff. I mean, it was wonderful to see in the UK, there was a company called DeepMind, and back in 2014 and 15, they really pioneered reinforcement learning, where the machines learned to play basically Space Invaders and all these different types of games. And Google's like, oh, this is really interesting. So actually snapped up this London company. But it was reinforcement learning that really made the big difference out there. But when we looked across all companies and where they're applying AI, what we really thought was the big difference of what's happening now is vision. And vision in terms of putting it into the organization. And it was, the breakthrough was in 2013 in putting in place deep neural networks, and suddenly the vision recognition algorithms couldn't recognize a potato from a cucumber. It suddenly was brilliant at recognizing stuff. So what we're seeing in the corporate environment is vision starting to be applied. We love vision in the healthcare industry, where you can take pathology scans of, let's say, skin carcinomas, and the machines are as accurate as humans at this point, and doctors are being able to recognize cancers. And we have a great case study actually in Sweden with one of the clients we had. It's a hydro plant, and they had lots of manual meters where they had to have a team of people going around these big hydro plants manually reading the meters. And what they did is that they basically stuck cameras in front of those meters, and the cameras attached to basically convolutional neural networks and some algorithms will start to read the meters. So instead of having 100 people going around reading meters all the time, you actually were in a position where vision algorithms could do all of that. So we're actually really excited about what we see in vision. And broadly, I mean, we can look down the road, and autonomous vehicles are obviously very exciting. Everyone's talking about them. But as Tim Cook of Apple said, I mean, solving autonomous vehicles is the mother of all AI problems. It is tough, and because there's so many edge cases. So we see that stuff down the road, but what we think is really, in the corporate environment, we'll find that vision is used in so many different places that we haven't seen before, and we find that really, really exciting.
Simon Greenman, founding partner at Best Practice AI. If somebody wants to find out more about your work, or maybe they want to understand best practices with artificial intelligence, how can they do that?
Yeah, feel free to reach out. You can reach me at simon@bestpractice.ai. Find me on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Medium as well. But simon@bestpractice.ai is the best place to get me.
Thanks again. And if you guys want to find more of my interviews, you can do that right here on ZDNet or Tech Republic, or go to my website, tonyahall.net. Thanks for watching.